There's a guy, maybe no one knows this dude anymore. I never talked to this guy in my life, but I have a whole folder of screenshots because he was, like you want to keep yourself safe. So he was leaving a lot of threats.
I thought maybe this guy, J.W. Lucas, would have come to his senses and let Tamika talk some sense into him.
What's going down is no pain, no gain. And actually, this is all pain, all gain, because Dame and Aaron are gone. Aaron's moving. Dame is still moving. Come on, that was funny. And I'm totally uncomfortable with hosting a podcast all by myself. So this is going to feel more like a regular video that I put out, except totally unscripted. And I have notes, I'm not going to lie to you. But it's not going to be quite a podcast, and it's not going to be quite a scripted, polished video, because I want it to be long form. And some people don't like long form. We're going to talk about that, because I'm going to start out with some mean stuff. And by mean, I hope it's constructive. Some people need a reality check, because I'm sick of getting these DMs. I'll tell you what I mean in a second. And then I'm gonna take some of that mean energy in rather than just give it out. Music business is a potentially ugly place. The world is potentially an ugly place in the sense that there's a lot of energy floating around. Some of it is intended to be negative, exploitative, and we obviously want to avoid the people that have these negative and exploitative intentions, right? Now, here's one thing that rappers, producers, and the elderly population have in common. They are the perfect target for scammers. The perfect target for scammers. And I just want to make a public appeal. Please, I'm telling you guys. Now someone's going to be in the comment section talking about, why do you keep saying guys, you're worse than Chad Focus. I'm asking all of you fine people to please stop DMing me and asking me if an email you got from a label asking for money in exchange for a record deal, or that email you got from a big time producer asking you for a placement fee is legitimate. It is not legitimate. It is a scam. I've covered this a million times. I actually have made videos explaining why I'm annoyed that people keep doing this, and then without fail, like within 24 hours, someone sends me another DM. And it's always the same thing. They send me a screenshot of an email, and the email is pretty much formatted, it almost cut and paste, usually it is, to an email that I exposed as a scam in a video that they actually watched, because that's the sad part. They've actually watched these videos. It's mostly producers. They've watched my videos about these scams with placements, and they've heard me say quite clearly, if someone reaches out of nowhere to offer you an opportunity that somehow costs you money, number one, I forget what the other criteria. Well, regardless, the fact of the matter is, if someone is charging you for a placement or a record deal, it's a scam. And all the criteria are met every time. And producers reach out in the inbox all the time, and they're like, but it seems legitimate. I mean, I looked this guy's name up, and he actually was on the Lil Uzi album. Do you know what a scam is? Do you know what a catfish is? I mean, the whole point of a scam is to convince you that it's not a scam. So, for example, when someone created a fake DJ Pain 1 Instagram profile and was reaching out to people and talking about, send me, I think it was $50, maybe it was $100, send me $50, $100, and I'll promote your YouTube or something ridiculous. They said they were me, so you could technically look them up and be like, well, this is DJ Pain 1. He's actually a multi-platinum producer, and he's actually on YouTube, and he has, almost 150,000 subscribers, so it's probably legitimate. Yeah, right, but again, that's not me. That is a catfish. So all you had to do was look at their fucked up ass username and see that DJ Payne 12357 or whatever the username was is not the verified DJ Payne one who you can just send a DM to and say, hey, is that you? No, it's not. Okay, cool. And I actually was posting about that particular profile, asking people to please report it. Instagram, or I should say Meta, who owns Instagram and Facebook, they didn't care. I mean, why would they care, right? This is they're scamming us all with their algorithm, among other more nefarious things. So why would they care about this little thing I have going on with people getting taken advantage of for $50? So they weren't responsive for the first few days, and then finally someone shut that profile down. But I think they had made some money off some people, unfortunately. And I think of all the people to catfish and of all the names to scam under, mine, like, I'm the guy that it is one of the more outspoken figures in the online music business community when it comes to scams. I'm always talking about scams. I'm always shedding light on scams and giving you the exact format that these scammers use, so that when it comes time for someone to attempt to scam you, you just look at that and say, this is the exact same format that Payne was talking about in that video. They start the same way. But I feel like it bears repeating, and maybe you haven't seen my previous videos about scams. Let me share my screen. It's sad too, because it's always some guy, I won't say the name, who I believe is legit. People want to be scammed. Number one, they want to be scammed. This is a Reddit post, and you can already tell by the language that this guy wants this to be true. Who I believe is legit. The only reason he believes it's legit is because of the name, but the name is a lie. Scammers can't just reach out and be like, hey, my name is Shitboy Productions, because you're going to Google Shitboy Productions and nothing's going to come up. They got to say, yeah, this is Don Cannon, or this is, they pick some interesting names. And then you Google them and you're like, oh my God, this guy was actually on the Meg Thee Stallion album. This guy produced for Pink Pantheress. And oh my God, worked with many big artists. Supposedly reached out to me by email. He linked a beat I made on YouTube. This is always the same format. Always. He says he has a big opportunity for me. Always. They reach out with an opportunity that you didn't ask for. Then he asked me to pay him a submission fee to secure my beats a spot on the record. This is when I got suspicious, right? More on this. I don't get why the F I would have to pay this guy for a rapper he works with to use my beat. So this is where the logic is kicking in. It all feels fishy. It is. And here's the key. The guy was impersonating another producer. How could it be? This can't happen. This is what the internet has created. I thought this was common enough where people just know that the internet is full of impersonators. Like, that's kind of what the internet does. It allows anyone to impersonate anybody. So these are actual screenshots from the scam. Did this motherfucker say he's Dr. Luke? Yeah. I'm sorry. The person who sent me these the person who sent me these, now I gotta check. Is that Dr. Luke? Hold on, let me check my phone. The person who sent me these just kind of blanked out the names, I think out of respect for the person being catfished. But I can kind of see behind the little iPhone scratches, and I think it says Dr. Luke. I want to make sure. Did Dr. Luke? Yep, he produced he produced Best Friend. So someone thinks Dr. Luke, the guy who, produced some of the biggest pop hits of our generation, including, Miley Cyrus' Party in the USA, like all of Katy Perry's music, produced well, Cash, and that's a tragic story, and maybe we can talk about what she went through and how that was sort of resolved, but not really. Then that calls into question a lot of really heavy things, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole today, but the fact that someone could think Dr. Luke is taking the time to personally email you because they heard something on YouTube, and again, it's the same format. I don't know if it's the same scammer scamming all these producers, but it feels like maybe there's some sort of scamming network and they just share the same format, or it's just a really ambitious scammer who's making a killing off of using this cut and paste format, because it's always the same thing. And like, does Dr. Luke really say, "Hey fam"? The dude's like 50, but maybe he does. Maybe he's not 50. I don't know. Here's another one. It always starts with "Okay fam." Janae Aiko is Dr. Luke even working with Janae Aiko? I guess he's probably working with anyone. It's the same thing, and there's always an upsell, and it's just, we need this. Dr. Luke is rich as all hell, but even if he weren't, I had Gold Haze on, right? I have had a lot of people. The Chad Focus interview, appreciate all of you for watching that. It's at well over 100,000 views right now, which is amazing, that episode. But all of these industry insider exposés on the music business, we talk about all the stuff that's going on, like with Gold Haze, it was the buyout, the buyout trick, the third party company that furnishes a record that they've bought out from a producer because they can use all this trickery, and the label can just say, well, we didn't do the trickery, we just got the record furnished to us from a third party, and the third party is the one that stole all your rights. So we can't be held responsible, but we bought it from the third party. You had that agreement with them. Our hands are clean. In none of these situations is there ever a scam, or I shouldn't say a scam. In none of these situations does the label ever require money up front from any beat maker, producer, rapper, whatever. And as I said, the labels can do, the staff of the labels, these smaller labels, these third-party management companies and so forth, they can do some pretty nasty, grimy stuff. But these are real people in the real industry, and they don't do this. These are scammers. There is no pay for a placement in the actual music business. It does not exist. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And so here's where kind of the mean reality check part comes in. I want to talk about something else first, because this is funny. And someone on Twitter was like, you should go undercover and expose this scam from the inside out. And I'm like, I already did. So let me bring that up. This is hilarious. And this is a different kind of scam. This is one that's being perpetrated against performing artists, rappers mostly. And again, I don't want to see rappers getting taken advantage of. I don't want to see beat makers I don't want to see anyone getting taken advantage of. But what's different about this is this woman is doing this in plain sight under her actual name. Now, granted, I don't think her name holds any integrity. So it's not something that she necessarily is trying to preserve. But this is her. She's not catfishing. So there is this group of kind of gray area scammers. I call them gray area scammers not because I'm trying to give them a pass, but because I don't know that they themselves consider what they're doing as scamming. I think they know that it's grimy and kind of gross, but I think they can justify it in their own heads. It might be like a narcissistic trait, but I think they can, and that's, don't quote me on that. I'm not a psychology expert, nor am I barely took any psychology courses when I was in college, actually. So I really don't know, but I've dated some narcissists, so that have experiential knowledge. But I think a lot of them, like for example, a close friend of mine had me jump on a call with a fashion designer that she was working with, who was trying to charge artists like $1,500 to get on a compilation album. And I'm like, how is the compilation being released? And they're like, oh, we're just going to put it on Spotify. And mind you, they had no plan. But in their mind, they were giving artists an opportunity. And I'm like, you're charging artists $1,500 just to get on a Spotify playlist that you're curating and like nothing else? What? I mean, to me, that's a scam. And I think, I don't know. I think the other factor too is that people who aren't in the music business, when they come into the music business, one, they're thinking fast money, and two, they're thinking, well, the ethics of the music business are non-existent. You know, everyone here is just getting exploited and exploiting, and it's just a mess. And it's like, no, that's actually not how it works. The music business is mostly people doing pretty good business with one another. You hear horror stories, but that doesn't mean you walk into the music business and just start treating people like trash. But that's what a lot of these kind of lower level music business folks do. And since they're not making music off their own music, they're like, well, I'm going to make music off of my brothers and sisters in this game by giving them these opportunities. And as long as I can convince myself that I'm giving them a real opportunity, I can sleep at night. So Ansar Sultana X asked me, this is on one of my posts on Instagram. She says, want to perform in LA? Registration link in my bio. Number one, it's making it seem like she's giving me an opportunity. Of course, I didn't ask for it. Two, she's making it seem like it's a registration link. It is not, and I'll explain. I've performed in LA multiple times. I got paid for it. I told her, scam somebody else. Scam, baby. I've been in the game for years. Don't be disrespectful. What? Me not be disrespectful? Let's show you about the real disrespect. No worries. We will never invite you out again. And then she blocked me shortly thereafter. Good riddance, scammer X. Yeah, let's talk about all of that. So I went on her. Why did I have time to do this bullshit that day? I went on her bio, clicked the registration link, and actually registered, because like it was this whole jot form where you had to put in your name, your phone number, your address. Obviously, I didn't put any of my real information in there. And they try to make it seem legitimate. So I put this guy's music as the link. And then what I got back instantly was, or pretty much instantly, directly from Sultana herself. Thank you for your submission and interest in participating in our R&B versus Neo Soul showcase. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Of course, there's an urgency, a sense of urgency, because that's a scammer technique. Hurry up, do this now. Anyway, here's a link to our performance packages. So let's click that. And you can't trust anybody who doesn't know the difference between a part and a part. You just can't. So let's click here. You have to put your name in again. And right off the top, it's you purchasing stuff. My thing is like, why are you making people go through this long submissions process just so that you can hit them with you gotta pay? Like I'm thinking of all these people who are excited, like all these naive artists who are excitedly opening their email thinking, I got approved, I'm about to perform in LA, this is gonna be amazing. And then they see it and they're like, damn, I gotta pay $25, and their hearts sink. But the reason why they make you go through that whole process is because of, I think, one of my favorite YouTube personalities is Wes Most, and he talks about the sunken cost fallacy, and I'm probably butchering it, but it's basically this notion that if a person feels like they've if they've invested enough money into something, eventually it's going to give them a return, and then they have to believe that it's going to give them a return. Like a slot machine that you've put $50 into, you're like, all right, well, if I put $50 more, I'm going to hit that jackpot. And you're thinking, well, the jackpot's going to be like 1,000. So even once I've invested 100 into it, it's like, it's going to hit. So I keep putting more money in, and then I just end up losing all my money. With this, what I believe is the psychology behind this scam is, and many scams, is that they put you through this long drawn out process so that when you've actually gone through all this work of submitting all this personal information, waiting for the email to be returned, and then you get hit with this, you're like, damn, I already invested all this time. I may as well just, fuck it, I'm just going to pay. I'm going to, sure, $50. Now, why is this a scam? Because I think a lot of people say, well, she's not lying. You're going to get to perform. One, she's misrepresenting the event as something she's curating. She's not curating it. She's just trolling the internet for any sucker. Any sucker. It doesn't matter who you are. As long as you got the money. And like for me, like look at my profile. I don't represent myself as a performer. Yes, I do DJ, but this is a R&B open mic performance night. I wish I could sing. I wish I could participate in a neo soul open mic, but that's not what I do. So clearly she doesn't care who she's leaving this message to, which means it's totally disingenuous. She's just copying and pasting. So already she's satisfied, as far as I'm concerned, as far as the textbook definition of a scam, which is, like a lie. That's the foundation of some sort of commerce. She satisfied that criterion. Like that's it. It's a scam because it's totally misrepresented. She's lying about the nature of the event and the exclusivity factor because, again, she hasn't even listened to the music, right? It's just an automatic thing. Anyone who submits automatically gets approved. They just have to pay this money. And the whole pitch is misleading because let's go back and read the fine print. So if I pay for the $25 version, one, I'm not even getting on the flyer. That's pretty pathetic. Oh, I'm paying for, sorry, it's $30. And all my guests have to pay $25. Okay, cool, whatever. Well, then I just won't have guests show up. Why not? I'm performing one song. Let's go down to the fine print though, and it's not that fine. Show up on time, blah blah blah. Standard, no refunds, of course not. Artists and guests are required to stay throughout the duration of the event. I mean, you know what? I'm not even mad at that rule. Attire, I'm not even mad about this, but upscale is one word, so I kind of imagine you're not as upscale as you think you are. But this, all artists are required to bring at least 5 people. At least 5 people. That means you pay $30 and you're investing another $125. They're getting another $125 out of you. Scam. That's a scam. So here's where I get a little mean. This is the part that gets artists, right? Again, record deals don't cost you money. Beat placements don't cost you money. Let me speak candidly to you. I'm not here to offend you. I'm here to... I sound like a parent that's about to give you a beating or something, but I do this because I care. If you haven't done shit and like you have no fans, very few fans, you have no resume, you have no viral momentum online, labels, major artists, legendary producers who are randomly reaching out to you aren't real. They're not who they say they are. They're not really reaching out to you. And this one hurts because people want to believe that Scott Storch really loves their beats and he's actually DMing them because he likes their music. I get that. They want to believe that their 4,000 Spotify streams over the last 5 years attracted Atlantic Records, spelled with a K, at yahoo.com to offer them a record deal. They want to believe that. I understand that. The hard part is getting out of our own way and saying, you know what? One day I'm going to get this for real. Like one day I'm really going to have enough momentum in my career where I am getting legitimate offers. And it's not going to be an email from Atlantic. Like for me, I've done a lot of shit. And sometimes big rappers, sometimes legendary rappers reach out to me and they want to work. And like sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Like Do or Die, I'm a huge Do or Die fan. I would have never, H-Town too, like I never would have thought I'd be working with any of them. But yeah, like Do or Die, like AK reached out to me, I believe, or maybe I reached out to, whatever, it doesn't matter. We did the work through the DMs and like actually made music. So it can happen. It's just that when you're sitting around and you just have to be realistic with yourself. You'll feel the momentum when you get there and you're like, okay, things are actually changing. If you're a rapper, you're like, okay, people are starting to show up to my shows. My streaming numbers are jumping up suddenly. My posts on Instagram are getting a lot of likes lately. I don't know what it is. I'm reaching a lot of people. Then stuff starts coming in and then it's real. But when you're not in that space, or like, you might have some beats on the internet, they're not getting that many views. It's unfortunately just this need, and these scammers know this. These scammers know that we as artists have, especially if we're struggling artists, especially if we're just at the beginning of our career journeys, they know that if they appeal to our egos and maybe our desperation to feel like we're really doing something and we want to be validated, they're going to appeal to that by saying, oh, I'm a big name, this and that, and I think what you're doing is amazing. Yeah, you think what I'm doing is amazing? Yeah, of course. It was happening to me when I first started. I went through this. Someone tried to and I started, like, my big break was 2008. That was a long time ago. But before that, before scams became commonplace, at least in the music business, yeah, people were trying to get me. There was a guy named, I always forget his name because I would say it. I was in the same room with him later, and I'm just looking at the kind of like, I remember you from 10 years ago. It was at an iStandard event, and he was speaking right after me. I'm just like, this motherfucker. So he was trying to charge me like $500 a month, and he would play my beats at different sessions that he was at. I'm like, nah, man, I'm 1,000 miles away. I'm just going to be giving him $500 for nothing. He's be like, oh yeah, they didn't really like that beat, but they liked this one. They just said, keep on sending. I knew it was going to be. Cause that ego, like if I had an ego and been like, nah, I know this guy, I'm so dope. This guy has to be legitimate. He has to really, like what I'm doing. And that's why he's offering me the $500 discounted rate. That I would have gotten myself jammed up. So hopefully that wasn't too mean. I don't want to talk about this actually, but I feel like, hey, it's an even exchange. Lately, for some reason, my YouTube channel has been growing. Like I've gotten 3,000 new subscribers in the last 28 days, which, whatever. Like they're, in the grand scheme of YouTube celebrity, that's pretty low, but I appreciate it. And if you're one of those people, I appreciate you. But with more attention, and it's overwhelmingly positive. But there's a ratio of positive feedback and negative feedback. And some of the negative feedback is funny. So let's read some of it, because I was just mean to you guys for the last 20 minutes. I've been getting some mean comments from producers. This channel is way too dry. Ouch. I was mean back to him. Though this guy, I love this one. Flex the future. I'm talking with 300 Entertainment, but you. This was about the last podcast episode. You lost my attention with that useless intro. The intro was about the topic, but whatever. It's our job as producers to catch your attention immediately, not drag out a topic for 46 minutes for YouTube stats. My YouTube stats do better with like shorter content, like maybe 10 to 15 minutes. This was a podcast. Podcasts are supposed to be long, but it had clickable chapters. I don't know why this guy was mad at me, but I bet you the 300 Entertainment that he's talking to is like maybe 3,000 Entertainment at yahoo.com. Because he keeps going. The best part is where he's like, right, I'm talking to major labels while you vlog on YouTube. Like, that's mean, right? But it's funny because like right behind me I have a new gold plaque, and then like I can't point, I can't do this. Maybe I should stick to vlogging. But yeah, like I have like right behind me there's a gold plaque sitting there that I haven't even hung, and like I have a song that's top 10 on Media Base through 300 Entertainment. That's funny. This one. Dang, Payne, you look like you would have snitched. That face said it all, man. So this is either like a very street dude who is for some reason on the internet trying to enforce street rules, or he's like just like some weirdo suburban kid that just watches too many movies. I want to know what face I had when I look like what does it look like when someone's gonna snitch?
My grandfather calling me because I live in Dallas, so I guess the police still had my number or my address on file for, where my grandfather lived at. So they start showing up to the house, and they asked my grandfather, they're like, is your
Correct me if I'm wrong, that's the same face I have all the time, right? Like my face I didn't suddenly just switch from resting bitch face to resting snitch face, did I? I don't. The sad part is when I was a much younger adult, but I don't want to talk about it, but I did go to jail for like not telling on someone, and then they ended up telling on me and lying about it. Like saying I did something way worse than what I actually had done, and then like all of a sudden I'm handcuffed and in jail. So that was a fun night. Let's get to more really mean comments. Oh, this dude was really upset that I had the nerve to be gender inclusive. I'm done when you said he, her, or they. So they're mad at pronouns when they should be mad at punctuation, because there's supposed to be an apostrophe there and they're missing a couple commas there. This is a mean comment because I don't drink, so now I don't get anything. Thanks a lot, Abe. This was a mean comment. I think this is about Chad Focus, because this isn't our Chad Focus episode. Does this guy know? The irony writes itself. So this gentleman is lamenting the collective ignorance, the collective linguistic ignorance of the new generation. And realistically, Chad and myself and Aaron are like in our 30s, so it's not like we're 17-year-olds. Does this guy know any other word other than dope? Maybe he's talking about me because I say that word a lot. Or what I'm saying, can't take it no more. The generation gap is real. Y'all keep on keeping on. Let me know when it come back to the 70s. Sir, Tony Smith, you are speaking rather colloquially in this comment. And speaking of generation gaps, this right here is a generation gap. Why do you have so many damn spaces in between your words? It's spelled K-N-O-W. And like, here's the thing. I'm not criticizing the way you speak. You're criticizing the way we speak. And you have problems speaking. Make that make sense. Also, there's this thing. I actually have a master's degree in English. There are disfluencies that we all display. I'm not going to get into some nerdy English shit. The fact of the matter is, this is the Chad Focus episode. Myself, Chad, and Aaron Knight are all what I would consider well-spoken people who are also college educated. I don't know Tony Smith 2025. He lives in the future. Damn, 2025. Maybe that's the generation gap he's talking about. Not from the 70s. He means the 2070s because he was born in 2025. Let me stop. Shout out to Tony Smith. Reason I barely use samples. Just be original, guys. Why must you piggyback off someone else's work? This comment, or a comment much like it, is just plastered all over all my YouTube videos. It's like someone signed up for 1 million accounts and just said the same thing over and over again. It haunts me in my dreams. This guy. Oh, this is a good one. I have archives because some of the trolls are kind of weird. So I just save stuff, like not stuff that I put out there. And this is from, let's see what year it was, because I'm supposed to have gotten beaten up by his goons, his goonie goons. This was 2-3 years ago, October 22nd, 2020. This is what this is from. So Artisan Beats. I don't know. They must have gotten lost on the way. I have a lot of weird stuff that I don't even know if I should share some of this. There's a guy, maybe no one knows this dude anymore. I never talked to this guy in my life, but I have a whole folder of screenshots because he was, like, you want to keep yourself safe. So he was leaving a lot of threats. And then he ended up getting kind of famous. We have time. Let's end the podcast with this. He was just leaving a lot of comments on my content, and I didn't engage because it was just weird stuff. It wasn't cool. But this is why when a lot of people say, man, Payne, you're always sharing screenshots and you respond to everyone that trolls you, it's like, nah, you have no idea. There are, for every one screenshot I share, there are 100 other trolls. And this is one of them. This is from years ago. I just didn't speak on it because I didn't want to give the situation energy, because this stuff is sick, what was going on with the Breonna Taylor fallout.
I saw on Hollywood Unlocked and the Shade Room yesterday where one of our fearless leaders, Queen Tamika Mallory, dropping the clues bombs for Tamika Mallory, speaking to J.W. Lucas. Some people said Tamika was wasting her time. I don't think standing up for Breonna Taylor or any black person who has lost their life due to systemic racism is a waste of time. I thought maybe this guy, J.W. Lucas, would have come to his senses and let Tamika talk some sense into him after being corrected, but no. Let's listen.
Extremely racist for a white man to try to tell black people what we are doing, where we need to go, what our issues are.
That is part of the gated institutional narrative. Tamika, I should be a leader in the Black Lives Matter movement because I'm more capable than you.
Right.
Yes, I am.
You know what? Here's what
you don't understand the nature of reality.
I feel that was racism and misogyny mixed together.
All negative externalities must be eliminated.
The people that you do.
Listen to that. All negative externalities must be eliminated. That doesn't even mean anything.
Business with, to make a decision about whether or not what you're saying and the propaganda and the lies that you're spreading is something that they should continue to support. So what I promise you is that you will have to deal with me for the rest of your life, because anybody you do business with, I'm going to show up to make sure that they know that you are a racist, and that your rhetoric and the tone that you're using is extremely dangerous, and that you disrespected the life of a young 26-year-old woman.
Never. I will not accept that. That's and it shows your colors. You don't give a about decreasing problem, Tamika. You care about getting your own political game.
Did you hear the white privilege?
All right, that left a bad taste in my mouth. So the moral of the story is, don't let me podcast by myself. I'm excited for some of the future episodes. Trust me, I was on the phone with Dame earlier. I'm in communication with Aaron. There's just a lot of stuff going on in their lives, and they're moving around a lot. Good things are happening, and so we're trying to get back together on some of these future episodes whenever we can. But we're still posting when we can on the various MEC pages, social media accounts, and so forth. And we'll be making more content with one another very shortly. I'm excited for the content because we've been talking about some of the topics and some of the future guests we're going to have on here. So leave a comment and let us know too. You know, a lot of the episodes are inspired by comments that we receive, or by conversations that we have with listeners. So drop a comment, let us know what you want us to cover, or if you have a suggested topic or a particular relevant news story that falls under the music business and the entertainment category that you want us to cover and give our opinions and insight on. Please do that. We appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Peace.